Tonyam Chöd Te Darya Tsek Dong Pi Dara Gu Pa Chöd Ki Dong Himalaya Ba Do Jela Zoan De Zo Himalaya Ba Do Jela Zoan De Himalaya Ba Do Jela Zoan De Zo Himalaya Ba Do Jela Zoan De Dharma Ba Garchen Chöd Javar Zen Jala Jelondu Jedumba Talo Menjanyam Pemai Nile Gandur Seva Senzemne Sesam Yese Bai Mai Zordai Tani Nyami Senare Yunjing Me Sem Yin Mong Ra Madik Jin Kola Zura Me Adanze Bambe Bhai Rona Jimba Zawa Lo Name Yoja Bambe Bhai Rona Churun Zawa Lo Name Ona Metta Bhai Rona Jimba Zawa Lo Name Amnenda Bame Bana Tungru Zawa Lo Name Allah Nelo to be parona jiram sawana sete to parona thaki sawana divya jon be parona togi sawana Onye de parona monam zawana Yumo ran tang re bana yi zawana Onyam Chöd Te Darya Tsek Dong Pi Dara Gu Pa Chöd Ki Dong Himalaya Ba Do Jela Zoan De Zo Himalaya Ba Do Jela Zoan De Zo Himalaya Ba Do Jela Zoan De Zo Himalaya Ba Do Jela Zoan De Dharma Ba Garchen Chöd Javar Zen Jala Jelondu Jedumba Talo Menjanyam Pemai Nile Gandur Seva Senzemne Sesam Yese Bai Mai Zordai Tani Nyami Senare Yunjing Me Sem Yin Mong Ra Madik Jin Kola Zura Adanze Bambe Bhai Rona Jimba Zawa Lo Name Yoja Bambe Bhai Rona Churun Zawa Lo Name Ona Metta Bhai Rona Jimba Zawa Lo Name Amnenda Bame Bana Tungru Zawa Lo Name Allah Ne Parona Samti Zawa Lo Name Nelo To Parona Shira Zawa Lo Name Sete To Parona Thaki Zawa Lo Name Divya Jon Parana Togi Zawa Name Onye De Parana Monam Zawa Name Yumo Ran Tang Re bana yi zawa lo na me hong yang zhe lin a te da yin a cai dong bi da la yu ba chong qi gong hu ye ma la ye ba do ye la zo an de zo ye ma la ye ba do ye la zo an de zo ye ma la ye ba do ye la zo an de zo ye ma la ye ba do ye la zo an de ye rab je ma ba gue den je a de jin me zen ji cha de go chu cha do ya wa zen je la je dong du je dong mo ba lo men je nyam pe ngai ni ne gan de zai ba se sim ye se ba mai zor da da ni nyam ni se na yin yin me sen yin yin mong ra ma dik yin ko la zi ra sa dan zi bang be pai ro na yin ba sa wa lo na me yo je bang zi pai ro na chi gun za wa lo na me hong na me pa pai ro na zi ba sa wa lo na me yang me da ba me ba na zong du za wa lo na me hang la me pe pa ro na san jin za wa lo na me ne lo do pe pa ro na yi ra za wa lo na me se te to pe pa ro na pactice za wa lo na me divya jom pe pa ro na Bodhisattva lo na me hong yin zhe pe pa ra na mo lam za wa lo na me yun mong rang tang de ba na yi za wa lo na me hong yang zhe lin a te da yin a cai dong bi da la yu ba chong qi gong hu ye ma la ye ba do ye la zo an de zo ye ma la ye ba do ye la zo an de ye ma la ye ba do ye la zo an de zo ye ma la ye ba do ye la zo an de ye rab je ma ba gue den je a de jin me zen ji cha de go chu cha do ya wa zen je la je bong du je dong mo da lo men je nyam pe ngai ni ne gan de zai la sen de me se sim ye se ba mai zor da da ni nyam ni se na yin yin me sen yin yin mong ra ma dik yin ko la zi ra me a dan zi bang be pai ro na yin ba sa wa lo na me yo je bang be pai ro na chi gun za wa lo na me hong la me pa pai ro na zi ba sa wa lo na me yang me da ba me ba na zong du za wa lo na me hang la me pe pa ro na san tin za wa lo na me ne lo do pe pa ro na ki ra za wa lo na me se te to pe pa ro na pactice za wa lo na me divya jom pe pa ro na Bodhisattva lo na me hong yin zhe pe pa ra na mo lam za
So Rinpoche would like us to read the opening prayer in the green book on page, that prayer on page 13 in English, 13 and 14. So the German will be broadcasted and we will read it in English to ourselves on page 13. I make supplication to Bodhisattva, the spiritual teacher who is like a precious jewel, coming out of the great ocean of love and compassion, showing those fortunate beings the path to happiness and bliss. I make supplication to the Yidam, the spiritual teacher who is the ultimate reality of the mind, which is changeless like a Vajra. This ultimate reality is the Yidam, the chief of the mandala, in the primordial state displaying various manifestations according to the different temperaments and natures of sentient beings. I make supplication to the spiritual teacher who is the embodiment of the three precious jewels, his profound and peaceful mind, free from all conditioned thoughts arising from dualistic concepts, and perfectly enlightened, which represents the Buddha. His speech, which is the absolute truth beyond description, represents the Dharma. His body, which is the manifestation of the mind, represents the Mahayana Sangha, the spiritual community of Bodhisattvas. I make supplication to Mahamudra, the spiritual teacher which is unborn in the state of non-duality or clarity and emptiness, Dharmakaya. It is Sambhogakaya as it is unceasing, self-illuminating and self-manifesting. It is Nirmanakaya as it is non-residing, manifesting and ceasing at the same time, and it is free from attachment to the duality of subject and object. Towards that supreme field of merit where the Lama, the Buddha, and one's own mind are one, I dedicate this pure accumulation of merit coming from the Buddha nature in a pure state of mind, free from the duality of subject and object, for the attainment of the egoless state of Buddhahood. I make supplication to the Lama Svabhavika Kaya, which is the absolute reality of the mind, and the Lama in the primordial state, which is changeless like a Vajra and manifests in the form of my root Lama, who is inseparable from my own mind and totally free from the duality of subject and object. By the great effect of making supplications from now on until the attainment of Buddhahood, may I always have the precious human body and follow the teachings of the Buddha. May I always have the spiritual guidance of Kagyu Lamas, practicing the two kinds of bodhicitta, practicing Chakrasamvara as Yidam, practicing Guru Yoga, practicing Mahamudra, which is the absolute truth and the essence of all dharmas, and finally dedicating all merit in perfect dedication. May I always practice the fivefold path of Mahamudra, the faultless one, and may I thereby attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. By the unceasing Buddha activity and non-discriminating compassion, may I be able to lead all beings towards the perfect state of Buddha Vajradhara. Through the direct absolute truth of Mahamudra, without relying on the indirect teachings. In all my lives, may I never depart from the spiritual teacher. May I always experience the bliss of Dharma teachings, and by perfecting the 5 Bodhisattva paths and the 10 Bodhisattva bhumis, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara.
Lama Sanji Budi, Lang Sims Lamari, this is long to the Ransi Yemi Bachade, Zigati Samba Namda, Zungzi Lord, the Sajati Tawa, the owner, Saba number Tapati, Kudo number Tapa, Sabasi Badi owner, Tondam number Tapa, Nidimi, number Tapala, Nidi Tasan. This day, don't take it. One of the congregation, Zogda home to Samat and Savamia Changway. The English salute the Jay and Abject, Sasha, and Zavachim. Only flash of all this lady is always something to consult with him. Don't talk with me. Zavame and Zavameva, Gelatin, Tonton Saka, Tonha, Sokuyore, Zavatic Nukuyore. The one is that really jumped to Chöd child. The one to the only thing, Chöd and Chowrum Tara, China Chowrum Joe, Tung Tang Yore, the biome. Some one of the Zungzin travel Rossong. People with the Tama Killing to the Mupo Namdar country, she the Tama, the Nancy Tawaram, check our name, make a tongue to the Rolla sometimes already. Don't the Monam the Piazza, the young tongue on the law. So that tell you on a Lamaki in a chair, gentle, not in Yami, Jebaton, the Monam the young tongue on the law. Didn't the ship a sacrifice, the Hacham Sashibori. The Tasanga, the law took me, the Yanatati, Tata, Ransi Lama, the Mati, the Milarepa, lot of Nanasogo, Ransi Lama Tower. So other people. Kaji, but Samari, Saki, Nims and Samaki, lama rasin hakogo lama ha rasin hakogo to tam with the hakogo the kichimore any tata the hanjap karchimore the karchim mamore the lord the young and you go at it.
So now there's this verse in this supplication where it says on page 13 was that which one was it here? Fifth verse, merit coming from Buddha nature in a pure state of mind, free from the duality of subject and object. So that part, and that's that the Lama, the Buddha, and one's own mind are one. And so there is the pure a state of mind, and this pure state of mind is the mind that is free of subject-object duality, grasping at a subject-object duality. So when in the view of Mahamudra, that is the pure state of mind. From a relative perspective, a pure state of mind is immeasurable love. On the ultimate level, a pure state of mind is to be free of dualistic grasping. And so that is, now whatever you see or hear or perceive, there is no grasping at anything whatsoever. And when there is no grasping, then the outer universe, the outer world, becomes this boundless palace of the deity, and all beings become the deity. Then there is not even a thought of this is a deity, this is excellent. So there is no more thought of good or bad on the relative level, and so ultimately there is no grasping. When there is no grasping, all appearances are empty, and empty appearances are the deity, and empty sounds is the mantra. So it is just the grasping mind that is causing all the harm. When there is no more grasping, then the mind becomes pure. When there is the slightest grasping, then there still is a small ice block. So the pure state of mind is this freedom from duality, not grasping at a duality. And then there's the pure kind of object of a recipient or towards whom you're offering this dedication. And so that basically is the infinite purity of everything that appears and exists. So this prayer actually is really very, very precious. So Rinpoche said, I cannot see so well, so a few of those verses, he said, I've memorized, but it's hard to go through it line by line because it's hard for me to see. But you can ask your other spiritual teachers questions about it. There are so many teachings on the fivefold path. But this prayer is very important, and you should read it again and again and get teachings on that. And especially this verse here that makes us understand that one's own mind is the Lama, is indivisible from the Lama. Actually, also in Milarepa's Guru Yoga practice, it says, I supplicate to my own pure mind that is the actual Lama. And so that's something that is understood in all the different lineages, like in the Kagi, Nyingma, Sakya, and Gelugpa, and so on. They all understand that one's own mind is indivisible from the Guru's mind. And understanding that is to understand the ultimate truth. So it is very important, and especially these words here, this prayer is very important. And every time you read this prayer, actually, each time you read this prayer, your understanding of it will become more and more deep.
나리 소주면은 그 상황에서 선제 중진 자와리 대달 신의 중진 지만은 이런데 야세라니 지 중진 집에 책대라 이 중진이 중진 강나 요는 책적이 동한 중진은 서종을 남들의 세금 가까이 사람들이 들이 데려다다 가까이 건덕다도 나중에 들기 가까이 얘는 이제 토니 뭐 맞아봐 생구주가 종킹이 생도만 이제 와타지 내가 주마타베잖아 주마타베 주인이 통야 요리 기자시야 요리데 이 생구들이 오늘 전이 가까이 싸가 뒤에서 봐서 미소나 들이 다다는 기자시 조고요 기자시 로기야 오르데 오늘 전이 가까이 싸는 차당락 빠지는 게 있지 다 내요 그요 우리 말이 쏘는 다다 차당 깨나 저 라면을 고는 수가는 매로리 오다 싸우는 중지 자수는 제일 유명한 아주 봤다고 제야 요 말이 깨는 라상 셔트 보여 다른 따와 세 도면이 거니 그거 짤수장이지 그거 짤정도 남도를 왜 짤정도 남도 샤워도 졸부터 다라는 것들 라는 고민이 제가 다지 중지시 봐 세종의 열지 나한테 뱉은 라도 선대 중지가 하면 세번이 참아 찾대가 나기 요리 몇 강강 초와가 다시 냠냠때 초와가는도 대체들이 초와서 같이 정도나대 통되나 다시 정상 정도 정상을 이런 민당 가운데 끼자시고 땅이 끼자도 먹기자 가리용 각가리 차 다른 마음이 찍고 통도 가리는 안 통고선 이 공감지 중지 작바지도 담내요 중지 이제 별로 가요만 별로 요라 저 만도가 상고요 말이 너가 상고 네가 상고요 말이 네가 뭐지 봐 독성난 좀 봐 독성난 좀 봐 지측도 중지 나와도 가리 내가 통제 가셔 제가 상고 되고 라고 싸움 맞다나 니디디 싸움 되게 중지 양수 참석하는데 조소장 따와서 하고 상비 특고요. 들이 당연히지 당좀 재미, 당좀 재미, 당좀 희바데. 들이 체도 좀 진짜서 매나 파당잖아. 진짜 참아. 니가 문제를 쓰라고 상나. 들이 당하고 참아 주고 알아서 놈들 땅 놈들 책대하고 고래고.
The 37 Bodhisattva practices, it says, regarding the ultimate truth, appearances are one's own mind. From the beginning, mind's nature is free from the extremes of elaboration. And knowing this, not to engage the mind in subject-object duality, is the Bodhisattva's practice. So this term here, this subject-object duality, is one that we should understand. So what that literally means is that there is the outer grasp at object and the inner grasping mind. And we think that they are distinct, they're different, they're separate from each other. So the outer object and the inner mind are separate. And on the relative level, it seems that there is a separation, a delineation between self and other, yourself and outer objects. But actually, in reality, on the basis now, actually such a division does not inherently exist. And everything actually is created by the mind. And everything that's created by the mind appears momentarily like an illusion or like a film on TV. We can see it, or we can interact, we can have a conversation, but it doesn't really actually exist that way. So in the mind, if you do not have the fixation that this really actually exists separately from me, even though you know that, you can still talk to someone, you can still enjoy things, but there is no coarse fixation or aversion. that holds things to be real. So when you think that something is real, then naturally coarse thoughts of attachment and aversion will arise. And if you don't really believe that things exist that way, that we are all separate entities, then even if thoughts arise towards them, they will disappear just like waves on water. So when you are completely free of this dualistic subject-object grasping, then actually no ordinary unrestrained afflictions can arise anymore. And even if some thoughts arise, they will naturally be liberated as they arise. And from that perspective, actually, it is said that thoughts actually enhance the power of one's awareness. And so whether or not you are able to liberate those thoughts, you can just see for yourself when you meditate. And so when you're free of this grasping at subject, object, the outer object, the inner mind, then the experience is like it seems the mind is everywhere. It's all pervasive and there is no special feeling about anything. And so in that moment, then there's also no more fear, no apprehension. For example, when you're together with a lot of people like here, then normally, ordinarily, we feel somehow apprehensive, and we feel like, can I really talk to that person, and is it okay to say that, or how am I saying that, or somebody's looking at me? So we sort of cringe a little, and we feel a little nervous and shy, and that actually shows that we are like bound up, tied up by very coarse dualistic grasping to subject and object. When there is no subject object. When there is no dualistic grasping, then there is actually no thought whatsoever. So you neither think that there is something, nor do you think there isn't. So there's no grasping to either side. So once you think that it is like that, you are grasping. Or when you think it is not, you are also grasping. So when you think this or that, that is all dualistic grasping or confusion. So if you really rest within the view without grasping, then whatever arises will naturally disappear. And that state is also called immeasurable equanimity. So there is nothing that you deliberately grasp at any longer. So there is evenness. So this term tang nyom means equanimity in Tibetan, and so you're releasing. Tang means to release. You're releasing all grasping, and nyom, the second syllable, means like to equalize. Everything becomes the same. For example, you love everyone. Every person is the same. There's no difference. So it's also good to understand this word equanimity or tang nyom in Tibetan. So again, what we mentioned before, the state of mind that is free of grasping at a subject-object duality, that's the pure state of mind. And the pure object means that you see everything as pure and not separate from the mind. And seeing it in this way, no matter what you do, will become virtuous naturally.
사자제모 라마는 지나파 라마가 샘데 라마 샘는 지나파 라마 샘는 저샘 라마 샘도 라가 샘는 저 라가 샘도 빨리 오 단니디메 샘 대상은 라마니 대그 라마 내가 제가도 해야지 라미 답을 남도 온 거요 오 랑게 생구를 봐 되게 대 뉴모벌 타라고 요래 뉴모벌 타르지 타벨라 또 당니라 맞다 되리 다시 돌아만 라세 사지 됐다 뭐 다랑 생이 라만 받았지나 밥탑송을 들이 뒤지리 다들 다 중화리 모아들랑 호와 나바나서 고독에 나기 인 통을 값어 이 지금 이제 다 인조버지 뭐고 요래 야 돈다고 내가 손 나기 이 매번 값을 들이 적 차야 돼 모아야 되라 참 짬조야 되라 참 세지야 되라 참 사야지 따와를 인고 말이야 그 말아봐 가고 겁잡대게 내 총박해 참참을 남아기 집조에 나는 약보도 제가 잡으러 총박 나 저는 따와 뭐좀 야도 일이 주시 나 저는 계속 집조에 야가도 콘이 하나 주에 라나 주에 좀 가슴에
And so Mahamudra, we resolved that Mahamudra, so it says as applicated Mahamudra, the spiritual teacher. So Mahamudra is the spiritual teacher. And then the spiritual teacher is the mind. And then the spiritual teacher's mind is your own mind. And it is the mind that is free of dualistic grasping. That's the actual spiritual teacher, the actual Lama. So then, does that Lama also engage in activities? A Lama, a teacher, shows the path. And so your own awareness being the teacher, when afflictive emotions become liberated through your own awareness, then that is the actual teacher. And that is when you realize it really is true that my mind, the Guru's mind, and the Buddha's mind are one. This mind is the Buddha's mind. And so this is one thing we resolve here. And then in the end, we dedicate. There's different kinds of dedication. On the relative level, that is while we still see a duality of self and other, we must consider others as more important and dedicate for them. If there is no more duality, then on the ultimate level, that in itself is sufficient. Then this state naturally becomes dedication. This state naturally becomes refuge. It becomes the actual practice of Mahamudra and also the dedication. There is no other practice than that, actually. Actually, one time, Milarepa was meditating. One time, his disciple, Rejungba, said to him, wouldn't it be better if you would sometimes do something like virtues, like, for example, go out there and teach the Dharma to the students? You're just sitting there all by yourself, kind of sitting and lying around in your cave. And Milarepa said, whatever I do is Dharma. Whether I'm lying around, it's Dharma. I'm sitting, it's Dharma. I teach, it's all Dharma. So you better shut up.
내가 사자체보다 락사당 주요에 대해 이제도 33회차도 요래 다시 모아그래요. 진짜 모아그래요. 들어서다 이제 말아봐 소문들이 이런 모아자의 더 없어. 모아다 즉석적 성료래. 다지 이제 요법감이 있지 비지 내가 총총 yin 삼다 자을 마사방하고 그래 그래라 다지 이제 요법감이 수남삭세 인핑을 놓치세세 수남 그 초호성 다지 이 매백하고 게다 삼지 이제 매박들이 시지 초호성 이 냠들이 그 초니 성도 죽지 가야 되네 수남 그 초산의 다지한테 맞으나 시가 소도 문도 좋고 요 말이 때깔 초지 위지 넘어라고 그래서 초니 위지 넘어 갈 노지 바람라고 그래 노지 바람 때려서 돌 맞으려 노지 바람 용진 저거 요 말했어 용진 저거 맞으려 노지 바람서 돌지들이 시가 소를 찾아를 노지서 바람 공기 벌 노지 바람 도 너는 요지 요 말. 초니 위지 넘어라 뭐람지서 돌 맞으나 군도 좀 되면 좀 인화하는 것도 좋아서 그렇게 초지 가고 그러다 다다 이제 요거를 다시 이제 요거 이핑을 로로 뛰니더니 다다 내가 뭐 탐지 소망 사박하니 드리션 고마르더니 이나도 봐 세워 마르더니 파라도스 바톡 두바 파라도스 바톡 거니 초사 파트에서 수능한 거 소리스 초니 신이 신고마 대버신 신고마 신지신 말만 제 니가 초니지 이 시가 초는 나이 니지 여보가를 초 수능 소사세서 신고 가래는 수능 소리 신고말 때 빠지는 대 수능 소 신고만 힘주잖아 수능 소 니지 매백가들이 이 시가 초 니지 매백 초 니지 매백 가래 그런 거를 소시 생구 나이 니지 나디의 파탄이 이미 로르쳐 장지들 다지디로 참아 파상 님지 주저리 지미 짜자고 지마 가리 어서 가디는 나가 가라서 선지 피고 선을 남상지 선지이다 같이 동해를 남상지 들때 초로요 그런 잡을 갈 동해오나 동해에서 참아 소소래 온다고 초초고 되게 찹들 다 되려면 참매나 소시 benja robo della soba tabio santi ormai sabio ormai sta carioi bene lombardo 사용 잡도 되는 저는 나 50바 수요 뭐 50바 보고 라고 직장면 할때 사용 잡사카로 다시 맞춰도 다지 베요 대답에 디사마테 탐나서 말도 데려드니 다 사바 체비바 오늘들이 탐지를 찾을 때다 사바체비 바래 드리더니 이제 사마르지요. 내가 수능 그 초 사바다 이제 lum하고 사바 탐지 수능 그 초서
So now, that completes now the brief introduction to Mahamudra. And anyways, many of you receive many instructions on the nature of the mind all the time. And so then the last point is the dedication. And so Milarepa then briefly says, dedicate for the sake of others. And so then for as long as there is still a dualistic grasping at self and other, we must consider others as most important and dedicate for them. And basically, every time you cultivate an altruistic mind arises within you, that is when you accumulate merit naturally. And then when there is no more dualistic grasping at subject and object, self and other, then you are accumulating the accumulation of wisdom. And it is said we must practice the union of the two accumulations. So what that means is that now we accumulate merit until self-grasping has come to an end. Actually, until then, we cannot actualize the accumulation of wisdom really. So it is said here in our verse on page 47, when you do not polish the wish-fulfilling gem, the two accumulations with aspiration prayers, the necessary and desired results will not arise. Make therefore efforts concerning the concluding dedication. so, um, so, um, so it is like a wish-fulfilling jewel, the two accumulations, or like a diamond, for example. A diamond is first in its raw state inside a rock. So if you do not polish the diamond, then its brilliant qualities will also not become apparent. Or for example, if you want to get the brilliance of gold, you have to burn it and so on. So that is the twofold accumulation. And first, again, as beginning practitioners, for as long as we still see a duality, the accumulation of merit is most important, and that is to cultivate an altruistic mind. And then when that altruistic mind, or this mind of love, is directed towards higher beings, then it becomes faith, and then we offer, for example, the 7 branches. And when it is directed towards sentient beings, then it becomes compassion, and then we practice the 6 paramitas, for example. So basically, when there is no dualistic grasping, self-grasping, that state is where self-grasping has become completely purified through the altruistic mind. And then when that has happened, then at all times, throughout the 6 periods of day and night, basically all the time, you only think about others. For example, when you're eating food, you naturally always think, may I benefit beings. And then when you hear of someone suffering, immediately it will affect you. It will generate a feeling in you. It will come to you. For example, when you hear about the suffering in the world somewhere, it really comes to you because your mind actually pervades everywhere. A sign that the mind is not pervasive is that when your love or your compassion is limited to those near you, your friends or your family members and so on. So you feel compassion for them, but not anyone else. For example, if you hear in the news that there was an earthquake somewhere, then immediately you want to know, was there someone in there I know, like a friend? And if there was a friend in there, then you are so overwhelmed. You cannot believe. My friend was in there. This is so terrible. But if there's no friend in there, you just don't really actually care what happened to anyone else. So, and even if it doesn't really generate a very special, overwhelming feeling. So that's actually a sign that the mind is not pervasive yet. Your love is not pervasive. So this is immeasurable love when it is all pervasive. And when there is immeasurable love, then there will also be immeasurable compassion for all and in an equal way. So that is the accumulation of merit and this altruistic mind. And when you have that, then no matter what you do with body and speech, it will all become virtues or become the benefit of others.
Shen Gomana Toso Pejri, not the Bason, not the Basitri, Newman Batok, this is not the Tesonga, your yacht doing, you're not doing the moving, not that about doing, sorry, the Johnson Dharma, the Majarji, Satsavi, not Majarji Bakari, or that exam, Rangatini. 호박 때문에 타로 탑 강연 매네요. 그리고 잡점 시바 나오 냐바디 저런 나에서 받은 거 자리 텔레비디 또 먹던 거 자리 제가 제모요리 콘소스로 잡처럼 시바 대삼정 거 자리 뭐에 말지 착사하지 대바리 오 소소시디 밤에 생고마게 연진진에 대바시에 착사를 철을 이제 상하고 자 이제 사선 건 너니 이제 사도 고속을 연진지 시바 그 삼지 세계 삼지 큰 넘버 타고 천리로에 계속 좋았던지 좀그 차주 차와 지금 지만 일에 제와 것들이 천진에서를 맞추 받다 제와 그런 니바가 다 고속을 잡 손나 이런 거를 달린 맛이 이저 사바지 이 시대에서 사지의 용이 남탈 삼지 양대한테 사지 거 대왕산 손 하 사람들이 연구요에 등소를 소화되는 거니 사지거든 돈을 항상 소화치 못지요. 소화를 지는 되게 대바지 또 되게 양 나지지 맞지 정도요래. 그래서 사지 용띠지 바지 창차에 나도 달리게 창차에 들이 샘 대바지를 항상 나타보죠. 전도 만들어요. 그래서 샘 싸우면은 당도는 그리고 내 정석요 말 뜨먹던 나자리는 좋아요. 설사오고 가로 콘서트 봐. 항상 사자 배골라서 가는 릉아에서 나그 책으로 주어 연구요리 라가들이 사자들 데라서 가지고 잡아대요. 선 싸우면은 또 맞아 데라서 그러더니 릉아기와 지혜네한테 싸움 매화하고 새로 차들이 또 먹다가 잘 탑준 줄 아체 보여드려 노는 거 저기 다 대박고 요리 사사비라 사사와디 대박을 빼 들이 용진진데 그래서 삼범적 산오 또 멋지다데 내가 중지 요번 고소 들려 토발이지 고소까지 고소서 삼지에서 삼지에지 삼지가 릉아지 사지 제들 탐지도 고소 랑지를 고소 삼지에 랑을 고소 들이 삼양의 어디나 그 보방도 답이요. 길 고소가 능력 그래. 독는 문제 내용 빼야 보여래. 우리 제주 들라고 상고 책대 이게 람상 어떻게 기치 보여래.
So when we accumulate merit not towards higher beings, then we are, for example, offering the 7 branches. And these 7 branches are the antidote to the 6 afflictive emotions. And the 7th one would be doubt, but it is sometimes also explained in different ways. But anyways, the first one is prostration, and that is the antidote to pride. So what is pride? Now we are not looking for a method, not even thinking about becoming free from samsara now, but just in a general sense, we are not looking for any kind of refuge or support. We have a very strong notion of I, it's all me. And this grasping at an I, actually, that is actually ignorance. So pride and ignorance are connected to each other. You are not seeking the refuge of the 3 jewels. So prostration is an expression of faith, of respect, and that you are remembering, bringing to mind the qualities of the 3 jewels, for example. And then there is the prostration of body, speech, and mind, of which the mind prostration is most important. And so here we need to understand the qualities of the 3 jewels. The qualities of the 3 jewels is that The three jewels, the Buddhas, they have an omniscient mind, and with that mind they know the minds of all sentient beings. They know of all their happiness and all their suffering and so on. And then the second quality is that they have also love for all beings, just like a mother loves her only child. And the third quality is that they have the power to grant protection. So if one seeks refuge in the three jewels, then one will become free from samsara, and one will also be able to free others. You can hear more about that in the various stories of different Buddhas, life stories of Buddhas. But for example, when you know all of these qualities of the Buddha, for example, and you know his story and his qualities, and then when you see an image of a Buddha, for example, just a little statue the size of just like an inch, like a thumb joint, then immediately you will feel in awe. Oh, this is the Buddha. You will have a very a strong feeling of veneration and awe. And in that moment, this faith is what destroys your self-grasping. So that is the branch of prostration. And that is with the body. So we prostrate with the body, for example. And then with the mind, we develop faith. And then that is expressed, for example, by joining our palms together in prayer. And then the mind is at ease. Otherwise, the mind, normally when the mind, then there's no devotion and we are prideful basically, we are in an ignorant state, then we just have no feeling about anything at all. The mind is completely unclear. We don't really care about anything, about the Buddha and so on. And when the mind is very clear, then it changes. Then you start to pay attention, and then you join your palms in prayer, and you perform the mudras with great care, like the lotus circle, for example, where you are reciting the words very clearly, you're sitting straight, and so on. When the mind is unclear and dull and ignorant and prideful and so on, then even if you outwardly with body and speech practice the Dharma, it will become all unclear and a little fuzzy. So in brief, prostration is the antidote to pride, and it is an expression of faith, of respect. And to show respect, we have to understand the qualities of the Buddhas. And so when we offer prostration, we often for example, prostrate 100,000 times. But then how we really develop faith is not just through that, but through the mind. For example, you think that even the slightest happiness in this life was actually given to me by the three jewels. So how did they give that to you? It is because of love, because you have engaged in actions with body and speech, motivated by a mind of love, that now you experience happiness. And the three jewels taught you that mind of love. The three jewels are love. So it's really the kindness of the three jewels. It was given to you by the three jewels. There's this one saying that the Tibetans always say, and they say that if I'm happy, it's the kindness of the three jewels. And if things go wrong, then it's my own karma. So that's actually a really excellent habit, a good quality of the Tibetans to always remember that, because these words are really very important.
저는 것도 다 준비가 먹기 사지가 마시나 내 준비가 마시나 지어가서 하고 말 지어가서 막나 따뜻한 등에 타지 탑죠 말 고소 대회들이 나 등에 동생이 왔더니 라시 가야 돼 맞아 탑 이메야 돼다 쪽요 말내 준비 찍어야 이 친구는 오 따뜻해 지어가서 요리 지라고서 다 유무한테 그 지어가면 내 동에 보배 나반하게 뭐잡 내려지 내게 요래 라시하고 말해 야, 지나 고속거리 오지 삼지고 그랬지. 이 같은 게 삼지 같은 게 되게 뒤쪽으로 싸면 되는데 같이 보여요. 대회에서 고속거리 시 봐도 쌈지 맞죠. 대답을 삼지 같은 게 뭐. 이 삼지 막나양 다다다다랑 운이 비서로 봐. 예. 대답을 삼지 짜치 보여 봐. 하고도 봤대. 마지와 지어 탑 지어 뭐냐 탑 공을 찍어라. 나보자고 탑도 사진이 정말이 되게 지하철고 나타서 하고 요래.
So if our eyes are closed to the workings of karma, if we do not understand that, then we will not also know about past and future lives and so on. And so basically we will not have any way, any method to become free from suffering. And often even the slightest suffering then becomes so overwhelming that people even commit suicide. They find no other way out. But if one only trusts in karma, like in this Tibetan saying that we just mentioned, then you know that if things go wrong, it's my own karma. It's something that I have done in a previous life. And by knowing that, you can actually close the door to much more thinking. Certainly you will not think about committing suicide and so on. And then when I'm happy is the three jewels kindness. That means it's because I have cultivated love, so I need to cultivate more love. Actually, if you only think about these two lines alone, it's really very powerful already. And that's the kindness of the Buddha, for example. Actually, the Buddha has a lot of qualities, but really it is the quality of love that we can understand, and that was really given to us by the Buddha, because that is the Dharma actually. So all Dharma practice really is nothing else but a method to cultivate love where it has not yet arisen, to not let it decline where it has arisen, and to further increase it. And this method to cultivate love was given to us by the Buddha, and with that we have a method to free ourselves and to be happy in our future lifetimes.
도착도 설명 이번 초반에 와서 초반에 이나 도착이 받을 거면 당소 주라 저로 주자 참아 이도서 여 참아지 오 나라데 고도 상고요래 나라데 고도 상은 이 다시 톱나 톱들 다니 지고 다 자시고 저때 다니 지고요래 자랑 뭐 가서 자치나 다다 플라이 고속도 때라서 머리 초반에는 핫도를 뭐지 자치고서 고도 제가 사람이 자치고도 고사리지 제 말이 자가 제치라 나디 제사 제요래 야 라는 호와지잖아 지수 나디지 파도 오 나디기 제발이면 사람을 못 지면 가능하면 나 이런 보셔를 빼망 보요래 사족생 빼양을 못 자치고 요요래 초박을 감들이 강들하게 이동아 내가 고도 내가 이 사람들하고 지체 가려오는 누가 있음 롱주다 집아타지 오 고소성 그래 다지 관계부터는 나는 그나티용 잡지구나 오 다지 난 참아들이 나쁘 광이 고소성 진짜 참 대세들이 라미들이 센터 다지 요mer 사진 샷으로 오 고소성 답보래 센터 다지 메가 차대요래 생고만 추배라도 차도 선행이고 추배이나 드스러는 거 보라게 롱주복감에 베르 칼라시 뭐 시보도 독서 공소스는 추서는 나지 체가데 파도 차요 그래서 롱제라 그래서 초바들이 하려 그 받치 보여래 너는 가래 통 나한테 통나서 람상들이 가는 통나 참아 꽂혀서는 벌어서는 이도다 랑 줘라 이 조가 말고 다지 줘라 말아봐 대이 요거요 참아 주고 열래 요 조고요 신고만 줘봐 볼까 너 차다 설리니 뭐래.
And then next, the antidote to attachment and stinginess is to make offerings. So what is this attachment now? It is anything that we are attached to anything that we find pleasing. Form, sound, touch, smell, taste, and so on. Any kind of sense object, any kind of object that you think, I need that, I want that. And when you get it, then you cling to it. Then you think this is so special, so precious, you don't want to let go of it. So often it is that when you make offerings to a deity, and that you should make offerings that are very precious. And then you might wonder or think that that's because the deity requires very expensive and special things. But that's actually not why we are making precious offerings. It is because the more precious the object, the more we actually cling to it. So if we give away something that we have an attachment to, then our self-grasping diminishes. So it's not that the deity needs that, but it is for our sake to eliminate self-grasping. So what's actually most precious is bodhicitta. So in any case, when we make offerings, we give something that we like very much, that we think that's mine, that something that I need or want. We offer our body, speech, and mind, and all resources, enjoyments, and to the three jewels. And even if you have nothing else to give, even if you just have a very small statue, the size of a thumb joint at home on your shrine, you can still think that everything I have belongs to you. And then you will have no attachment in your mind, no self-clinging. And later, when you die, you will also not die with an attachment in your mind, but you will die thinking that everything I have already belongs to the three jewels. And so in this way, there's no clinging attachment when you die. So when you, whatever you enjoy, for example, you're eating some nice food, the thought arises that tastes good. Then next you should think, I'm offering that to the three jewels. And then already half the self-grasping is gone. So whatever you obtain, whatever object you enjoy, don't think this is for me or this is mine, but instantly think, I'm offering this to the three jewels. And then you will not now become completely caught up in a self-clinging mind when you experience this object. And so this is now how you can do it with any kind of object. You're offering it to higher beings like the three jewels. So all of that, making offerings and so on, is the antidote to attachment and stinginess.
세상 주보에 better니다 유무랑 몇 그렇지 시행고요. 그때 지와 때때 드파 작고 있는데 네 유무라서 봐. 제가 작부에 답받도 보이는데 있어. 드파 작고 있나서. 주시다는 변신을 다시 작부 탑을 거도 동안 이걸 강자들로 다 가나라는 거 소리들이 유보 강제와 차라 담지 내리 내다 뭐 담지 그 사바이 지지고는 샤고 지지 파마이와 하고 그 사자시 보고 공시라 라비를 유몽이 신경도데 이게 소대 전에 그거는 집어마고 문지마고 라비를 시선 제가 가양 제고 유모가 매장 부생답을 차대요 제 먹을 것도 그러면 바탑이 다인이 오늘 정도 유모모도 초월을 민송에 들이지 다 것도 그러면 돈에 이쪽 미저 초와서 미와서 더 빠샤고 있는 하도 님치 주속성 때문에 님치 뒤에서 때문에 이 말이라 쇼게 쇼게 잠도 고소서를 제하다 뭐다 샤빠도 인식 미치 생부진 때문에 인도 무슨 버드사도 대전이 가거든 제세지 하고 저 인식 미치 말 상마치나 이제 하자야고 요래 내가 발 맞추라 싹 버드들은 거서 단나과 사집에 주고를 쇼니 도지병이 상하나 도지병 때문에 저 홈마 핀줄을 코로 설나 코로 타도서 이봐 착취시 되네 저 코로 타도 그때 사족세고 다 받치로 그래 사족세고 참아 되잖아 세고 다 받아 버려 그러나 미직 삼지 쳐다 쏟아 쳐다 심해라 저는 남도 노도가 지금 미직을 가서 세고 다 받아 다 버려 이 세고 다 받아 이 세고 다 맞지나 니 랑게 저거를 좋아지는 참았더니 생적으로 참 대화를 듣고 요래 세고 다 받아 대인이 버렸더니 니 말을 얘기했더니 뭐라 고소랑 차도 지를 대대는 거지 차도도 세상이 똑수래더니 까빠서 잡고 그래서 고소 지금 좀 벌써 있어 듣고 싶어가면 가리 게자 희바드 철 놀는 삼세리 때리 뭐 직장이 말이야 사바체메 말이 어따지 세상을 차도 이거들 또 요래 데리더니 세상 따위 뜻밤에 저봤다고 갔으면
Then the next branch is the confession of negativities, and that's the antidote to mainly hatred or anger, but all the other afflictions that arise without us having much control over it. So those we need to confess, and we confess them before the three jewels and so forth. What we confess is all the afflictive emotions, coarse and subtle, that arise in our mind. So a beginning practitioner who still sees a duality mainly confesses by cultivating, or confesses and then purifies through cultivating love and compassion, recognizing every being, everyone else as their parents. And of course, if you really practice Mahamudra, then actually the afflictive emotion naturally transforms into wisdom. You are naturally accumulating wisdom, this accumulation of wisdom. And then there is no need to do anything else, nothing else to be done to deliberately confess and lay aside and so on. Just naturally, it is like fire meeting wood, the affliction being wood and awareness being fire. It just becomes fire. The wood just becomes fire upon contact. And so, but however, for as long as you do have a perception of a duality, there being self and other, or in other words, for as long as situations trigger feelings and feelings arise in your mind, you have to follow the conventional or relative path. Because what's important is that these feelings and emotions are eliminated. And so it is said that we should confess ideally throughout the 6 times of day and night, or 3 times, or actually what we can do is in the morning we should remember our refuge, the 3 jewels, and in the evening we should confess and regret all wrongdoing, and at least say one Om Benza Sato A, for example. Bring to mind all the negative thoughts and emotions that came to your mind today, and think that I regret and now I lay them aside, I confess them. Actually, it's a very good practice to confess all wrongdoing, all negative emotion each and every day without allowing a day to pass by. Especially now we have all entered the gates of Dharma, and in the Vajrayana especially we are each other's Vajra siblings. And it is said that getting angry or jealous at your Dharma companions, especially the Vajra siblings, is actually the gravest wrong. There's nothing worse than that, actually, because this anger and jealousy is what cuts through the bond of bodhicitta that connects us. So it is like a rope of the mind that connects us. For example, when you love your cat or your dog, then they will naturally follow you around wherever you go. You're connected to this rope or bond of the mind, of love. And if we sustain this bond of love with each other, then we will be each other's companions from lifetime to lifetime, and we will attain enlightenment together and meet each other in the Pure Lands. So getting angry at each other and jealous is really the worst thing, and something certainly we should confess each and every day. It is said that there.
오마를 대고 너또 기마사대 시당을 랍상티 다음에 다시 사자치본 들어가치고 진실을 들어가치고 진실면은 유무지를 하고 막 진실을 들었다 인간론이 뭐다 쓰냐 가서 샤과지 쇼케트니 그것으로 담보지 인지 민직됐었는데 저거라.
So it is said that a moment of anger destroys the virtues, the roots of virtues accumulated in aeons. And so what is this root of virtue here? It is nothing else but immeasurable love. And it is destroyed by anger and jealousy and so on. Also it is said that there is no greater wrong or evil than hatred or anger. And there is no greater practice of austerity than patience. So each and every day we should confess and regret our negativities, or ideally with each and every negative thought that arises, we ideally lay it aside and confess it. Actually, this is also related to Mahamudra and mindfulness, being mindful of each and every thought arising in your mind. But at the very least, it is really very important, and by all means, at least when you go to sleep, you should confess all negativity. And in the morning, you by all means should take refuge in the three jewels.
zusammenhält. Es ist ein Herzensband, könnte man sagen. Es ist vergleichbar damit, wie Menschen, wenn sie im Umgang mit ihren Haustieren so voller Liebe sind. Sie gehen zum Beispiel mit einem Hund spazieren und da ist allzeit eine Herzenswärme mit diesem Hund zusammen. Oder mit einer Katze, die man hat, da ist immer ein freundliches Empfinden zu diesem Tier. Das ist dieses Band der Freundschaft. Und so ist es ein Band der Freundschaft, das uns mit unseren Vajrayana-Brüdern und Schwestern, mit allen letztlich, die auf diesem Wege sich befinden, gemeinsam verbinden sollte. Und wie kann dieses Band gefährdet werden? Immer dann, besonders wenn dann Missgunst, wenn Neid oder wenn Eifersucht aufgreifen und dann in Ärger mündet, dann ist es die Gefahr, dass dieses Band zerreißt und zerstört wird. Wenn es nicht zerreißt, wenn es unbeschädigt bleibt, dann hat es eine große positive Wirkung, dass nämlich alle, die gemeinsam diesen Weg gehen, am Schluss gemeinsam in der Erfahrung großer Freude, in das Gefilde Sukhavati, das Land der Freude sozusagen, eintreten können. Und um das also zu bewahren und richtig zu stellen, ist es eine Frage der täglichen Achtsamkeit und Aufmerksamkeit. Es ist das Bekennen von eigenem Ungeschick verbunden mit der begleitenden Achtsamkeit. Ohne Achtsamkeit und ohne sich würden wir ja gar nicht bemerken, dass wir etwas Dummes getan haben. Es ist also zuerst zu bemerken und dann auch wieder richtig zu stellen. Das ist die Hauptaufgabe hier, und wenn man es wenigstens so schaffen könnte, am Ende des Tages dann all das einzugestehen und wieder zu bereuen.
차도 이거 지세랑 제발에 차도 기바데 뉴모바 톡지더니 똑지지 코리 코칼이 잡는 거리 초강하는 거리 뭐 독수지 독수 코 가래 독수지 수남 냠이야 대사잡에서 숨말이 수남 제는 인생제 인생과 차도랑 인가래지나 이제 가와다 대화를 차도요래 다 이제 능력이 있어 양공 거에 대회는 뉴뭐 쪽지나 차도 독수지 대집에 소르트고요 말매들 뭐 소리 딱 가려서 사보주고 뭐나 대화나요 송걸 그냥 차도 요미랑 그 줄을 딱 쨌다는 랑그 쪼고 랑 먹가사서 멋지 요나 되게 윤띠 요나 랑상 되게 중지 초로 그래서 나중 멋지 다 라마지 용띠 사람 뭐 잡지 어디 라마지랑 대대도 요지 중도 그래서 다 몇대 다 차도 그러면 뒤서고 요지 대응은 딱 째도 하자 사바 같이 버려도 저소라 뒤에다는 차도가 되겠다 되게 다이 용띠 벌써 쳐봐요 뒤쪽도 손 찍자면 찍자고요 말이에요 용띠 짱짱이 찍자요 말이에요 중주차 등 너들 용띠 주차 쓰면 다 뒤쪽이 좋고 말이야 용띠 주차 등 너서 주차 쓰면 용띠 진짜고 말이야 중주 사제 좀 따라 대외 지금 안 좋아로 드디어 뒤지 몇지 용띠 좋은 새는 맞지와 창을 우리 하정대 자중대와는 통성 제 상라대도 좀 맞대로요 따뜻히 조래서 다도 문제 좋게 쳐보여 뒤니 모르지세요한테 제 중국에도 주 이제 능력을 지세요나 무슨 수남의 지세요나 수남대랑 타오고요 주 이제 능력을 지세요나 이거 취향 능력이 랑 타오고 그랬대 대하고는 차도 대 지세요는 거는 다는 조보 조모님이 더 뭐야 보되는 한 대학 원된다고 생각했던 보기 자다 지으라서 원양도 그서 농밤에 맞으나 가리하고 삼재가 유지도 참았지 대신에 내가 차도 문제인 거래 뉴모가 저기 됐다 대시 저기 뉴모가 저기 sakit 따와게 뉴모가 문제인 거다 그 주인공 띠 내가 된 뉴바지 뉴마지나 뉴모 문제 저거 말아
Then the next branch is the antidote to jealousy, and that is rejoicing. And actually, of the 6 afflictive emotions, jealousy is actually the worst. Also the worst because jealousy is quite sneaky. It kind of creeps up in our mind and we don't really recognize that. We don't even notice that it's there. And that's why it is so harmful, because we are not even aware that we are actually being jealous. So why is it not the worst? Sakya Pandita had said, it is an evil intention that brings your merit to an end, destroys all your merit. So it is that intention of jealousy that diminishes all your merit. And so the nature of jealousy is that when you know about other people's happiness and joy and fortune, you don't really like that. You feel jealous. But when they actually suffer and they are unlucky, then you're happy about that. You rejoice in that. So jealousy is really the worst of the afflictions because we can't really recognize it easily. But a sign of it is actually that's explained in a commentary to the King of Aspiration prayer for excellent conduct. And so in there it says that you should really examine whether or not you are actually being jealous. For example, if there is a person that you don't really like and then someone else speaks about their great qualities, then immediately you will feel that you need to interject and you need to say something to undermine that statement and make sure everyone knows that they are not that great and they also have a fault. for example, when somebody praises a Lama for his great qualities, then you might come and say, actually, he is good, but then also he has those faults. So you would make sure everyone knows that. And that is jealousy, for example. So it's extremely important to be very careful and really look at your mind. Now, actually, the truth is that there is no one who only has faults, and there is no one who only has great qualities. We all have both. For example, if someone has like 70% of fault and 30% of qualities, then we can consider that person as a person who has more faults, like a person where we need to be careful about. But if a person has some faults, let's say 30% faults, but 70% good qualities, then we should consider this person as a good person. Actually, this was also taught by the Buddha. So normally it is the case that in very subtle ways that when we hear about other people's qualities, it makes us feel uncomfortable. We don't really like it. And also, I have some personal experience with that from before, but when I read that commentary on the King of Aspiration prayer, that really was very clear, because it's very important to recognize one's own jealousy. And so the antidote to it is rejoicing. Basically, it is that whatever you rejoice in, that is what you yourself will get in the end. So if you rejoice in someone else's fortune and happiness, you will get that yourself in the future. But if you rejoice in someone's suffering, then you will actually get that yourself in the end. For example, when there's two companions who are very close and who get along really well, then you should think that this is so wonderful that these people get along. Or even if you see two happy birds together that fly around together harmlessly, you would think that isn't that wonderful? What nice companions. So every time you see anything like that, you make it a habit to remember the qualities of love and to recognize jealousy, the worst among the 6 afflictive emotions. And that's really also related to the view of Mahamudra and so on. If we don't recognize these afflictions, we also cannot recognize the state of Mahamudra and so forth. So it's really crucial that we apply some mindfulness, some introspection, and really recognize the subtle formations of jealousy.
왜 문제도 사지 좀 되지 샤이도 자우 치고게 거기서 갑자래 시라장 진단인들이 짱모 가는 매 와저게 자우 치고데 데이터 쓰는 다 나라니 데이터 쓰나무는 저들이랑 나라니라서 저런 데이터 사지를 시라 부상 대상이 사지를 용거와 남들 자우 치고데 땅 마셔 다 처음에 라고서 남기도 되는 거죠. 손한테 처음 거서 처음 라고서 남기도 되는 요래. 되는 거 강호되지. 말 라고서 남기 되는 거지. 라모 되래지. 저 하래서 가르쳐야 돼. 처음 놀러 주대야 이네 뒤와라서 맞아르네다 타오지 맞이 요래시. 이는 라모 되게 시랑 뭐 자기 마다와 강함에 보고는 그냥 차발이 지세랑 거에 대해서는 토요래지. 이는 저 때에서 맞지. 저기서는 오. 대 싸움 소놈들 때봐야 저 하나로 토요래. 그래야 지세랑 거에 깨지다가 저놈 사람들이 대응 코드에서 something. 뉴스도 사고 게다 탑지랑 로가정네. 이거 좋고래. 코와지는 코벤들이 가와다 대와 노로도 벤트에 자외 때로라서 용기 가리로 대시 가리로 대답지 그자 나지 사지 주요 콜로고 대답지 너는 가와다 대ව를 저 왔다지 다른 게 그자 이제 시진선지 되고 어서 제 지시랑 거 가고래 가르들이 손님 섭송 그래 저보고 들 콜이 수는 치고 가리지를 상어가 콜에다 소소치를 들 콜라고 와서 의우나 상어가 들이 은혜서 못하고 다 양도 뭐 Some number of Bangala, Jela, or Javi, no look to the unit do the Chachima Bush and the Yao Honson and Yore, this one, some talk your when the Durham. Wrong with Chaki Kami, Gajami Bagata, Gajami Baga, Jissi young people talk with the Topuri. Then you go out at the Tama Jissi young actually. Oh, Chito to Jum, the sound of Michabari, so Chulo Karibati, the Primayon, Pimuchi body pillows. Ah, and Zabri Chulo Karibati, treated young Dimango Yore. The block is his own Jordan, the Watang 축하는 용띠 망보요래 점바요래 추첨요래 조바요래 대상체로 싸우는 장부 용띠 차로 싸우는 주로 참아요래 그래서 남 싸우는 얘기라더니 차로 치고서로요래 예 수능부 조사를 이시게 초 지스양 공되더니 이시게 초도 랑게 당디 식고라 대니 송저기노다 초니시 바데 데레 어떻게 지스양 공나 There's some choice about you, they love it,
There was a story about the time when the Buddha was alive. At one time, there was a very a powerful king, and at one time, that king invited the Buddha and 500 of his followers for a great meal. So at the end of the meal, then there was time for dedication. And so in the meantime, when the food was offered, first there was an old woman also there, and she really had nothing, a beggar woman, but she just saw what happened there, and she thought that this is so wonderful, what a great merit this king is accumulating by making this offering to the Buddha and his followers. I wish one day I will be able to make such an offering. If I would be able, I would also make this food offering to the Buddha and his following. So she completely rejoiced. And then in the end, when it was time to dedicate the food, then the king then said, no, please, Buddha, dedicate that meal towards whoever has the greatest merit here. And then the Buddha replied, you do have great merit, but I shall not dedicate it for you today because there is someone who has even greater merit than you. And the Buddha the king was shocked, and he said that how can it be that anyone would have more merit than me? And who would that be? And then the Buddha said, well, it is this old beggar woman. The Buddha knew that. And the Buddha said, it is, even though you made a great offering, you also had some pride. But this old woman had nothing to offer, but she really rejoiced from the bottom of her heart without the slightest feeling of pride. So she has the greatest merit. And so and the king felt a little bit uncomfortable about that, but then finally conceded to the Buddha's wish to dedicate for this beggar woman because of her pride-free mind. So when we dedicate our merit, and we bring to mind all of the roots of virtue accumulated in samsara and nirvana in the 3 times. Anything that is good, anything good accomplished, like having supplicated, turned the wheel of Dharma, and so on. Basically, all goodness is given to sentient beings. You think, I give it all away to sentient beings. So that's actually similar to rejoicing. With joy, you give it away to sentient being, and you will receive the same merit. For example, also, you can think that a Dharma center, even if it's just very small, you feel this is so wonderful what they do here. It's really incredible. That is a great accumulation of merit. You rejoice in others' activities. And not just the Buddha Dharma, any other religion also has a lot of good qualities. All the religions actually have good qualities. Often it is just the case that people use a religion to accomplish some personal benefit, a political benefit, for example. But the religion in itself has a lot of good qualities. All the religions, for example, practice generosity and ethical discipline and patience. So when you always bring to mind the good qualities, then a positive state of mind arises. And when that arises, then a very huge part of this ice block is melting. And you're actually also accumulating wisdom, because when you rejoice in that way, then also self-grasping diminishes. So when you rejoice, then a real feeling of true, sincere joy must arise. And when that arises, that is when self-grasping really diminishes. And that is actually then also, it becomes the union of the two accumulations.
이러다가 사진 양이 되면 답이 진실에 썰버설 누구 차라 문제 접어서 됐다고래. 누구 차도 차시리. 그 무슨 소리 말 대수스 무슨로 빨리 셔들까지 쌀라들이 중중 통고요. 빨리 몇개 원래 중중 통도 빼세요. 시합 갔다 쌀라들이 누구 소와 지종 누구 차라서 하고요. 제 학교들이 학교 강제고만 학교를 골라 차리 그래서 시작하면 돼 너무 이실인 줄 알지 총총 하면 체리체도 들이 저렇고 말이 맞지 지들 저거 소리 똑지도 차도 차대 자 총치도 차도 차대지 가도 가리 잡고 있네 이 하정 잡고서 차도 그래
And so those who are experienced in meditation practice like Mahamudra, mindfulness is really most important. And whether or not your mindfulness is clear, you can actually see by whether or not you're able to recognize the coarse and subtle afflictive emotions and thoughts arising in your mind. So for the most part, we are able to recognize the coarse afflictions, but rarely can we recognize the more subtle afflictions. These are very difficult to see unless the mind is extremely clear. It is like when you are like looking through clear glasses, for example, then you see it very clearly. Then you can see even the most subtle formation of a negative emotion. And then once you have seen it so clearly, then there's actually no need to do anything to it, because by seeing it with such sharpness, actually it already has gone away. It is already gone. But the problem is that when you allow those subtle thought and feeling formations to remain within the mind, if you let them be in your mind, then they will slowly develop into more coarse, intense forms and emotions. And at that point, you cannot rid yourself of them any longer. And in fact, the most difficult one to rid yourself from then is jealousy. That's why it's also the worst. It's hard to recognize it, and it's also hard to let go of it. And it creeps up in your mind in a very subtle way. So jealousy is really the one affliction that you have to be extremely careful about, and especially when it comes to recognizing it.
또 먹고 이제 주주 콜로고 이나 주주 콜로다 nembañi o kodo jubdelo ami pa to nam de mama thongo par jubdelo ami pa ti saji ge matina sika ha ko sobuyo mari de demani 주주 콜로디 야야도 고서 왔다나 마음 붙지 와서 말들 사지 jarta ba 주주 콜로 사지 ge 고통을 깨서 봐 배우치 보여래 또 먹고 이제 뭐 주주 콜로고 이나 그래서 단지기 이 태성근이 뭐 명령마다 이나 태성대 강이지 오 사지 용지 부서도 사지 용은 다들 라마는 좋아요. 라마 식성이 다 뭐더라. 다들 대참리. 다 라마 요 말이지. 원래도 라마 세비 요리 때 양도 샤리. 라마네 라마 급시 하고서는 라마 센터 샤요 말. 망고 라마 빠서 같이 송지사 당신 라마니리지. 무슨 요리 라마 찾기 요리. 저기는 출신이 라마니리지. 뭐 적대고 뭐라고 돌아오래서만. 들으시지 되는 가추시는 라마지 초와서나 딱딱 요리 제 따위시는 라마지 시야면 사지 좀디디 손을 로카체서는 사지 취지다 게디 삼체 사지 쪽 누가 거기에 송상지 톡사지 게디 뭐 저기서 사지 상거예요 공초성분은 얘들은 게디 자체수예요 사지 그래서 저러고도 요 취보는 강한 거 쓰고 게디면 강하게서 오면도 네, 잡지도 사지 인송이나 사지 주요나 견딘 그런 거 도와줘. 짜치지 견딘래. 하여튼 견딘 바군디 오타무서 남부 견딘지 보래지. 대선은 소설내 받치 보래. 수롱신 총차서 잡을게 추록과 사막 연지가 찾았으면 추록과 사막 견딘 버리지. 다 추록 매와 사막 심지래지. 다 시험 엄마는 다 그런 게 발도서 받고 네. 다른 소문 거래.
And then the antidote to ignorance is to supplicate, to turn the wheel of Dharma. That is the Dharma of the twofold truth. First, the relative truth, that is the unfailing karma cause and effect. And that we need until we are able to see the ultimate truth. And if there is no one who shows us that, if the Buddha would not have shown us that, then no one would be able to know about that, understand that. So therefore, again and again, we supplicate to turn the wheel of Dharma, Dharma of the twofold truth. And as a result of such supplication, in the future, it is said that we will take birth as the foremost among the retinue of disciples of the Buddha in the future. So the antidote to ignorance is to turn the wheel, supplicate to turn the wheel of Dharma. Then next, the antidote to doubt is to supplicate to not pass into nirvana. So what is doubt here? One might agree that the Buddha has perfect qualities, but also one might believe that the Buddha is not here anymore. Or for example, with a lama. We think that when a lama has left his body, that he is gone, and then we cry. That actually is doubt, because we think the lama is not here anymore. As we mentioned before, we need to understand the lama in terms of the four kayas. And when we really understand that, then we know that the guru's mind, the lama's mind, actually cannot die. And he appears in so many different ways. For example, we have said we can listen to a teaching recording or on TV, like a recording. And what we hear then is the actual guru. And the guru is actually all pervasive. The body is just like an old car, but the words will remain. For example, we can continue to listen to them through the TV, for example. And then the feelings, the feelings and the blessing that we receive are exactly the same. So in truth, the guru actually cannot really die. For example, the Buddha Shakyamuni, how many years has it been that he has left his body? But still he's here, represented by the Sangha, for example. The Sangha's body is the Sangha, the speech is the Dharma, and the mind is the Buddha. So actually within one Sangha, the Buddhas of the three times, or the three jewels of the three times, are complete. And of the three jewels, actually personally I feel that the Sangha is actually really most precious, because even if you have a Buddha statue, a form of the Buddha as large as a mountain, or you pile up the scriptures, the Buddha's words, as high as buildings, all of that is completely useless if you have no Sangha, no teacher who explains that to you, who introduces you to that. So for this reason, the Sangha, the spiritual teacher, is really most precious of the three jewels. But then if you think that the Sangha refers to only the Buddhist Sangha, actually that's a very narrow-minded perspective. And actually that perspective is a very limited field of merit. You perceive a very limited field of merit, and that's not very good actually. Actually, the way to see it is all followers, all practitioners of any religion in the world are Sangha. And all those beings who do not have a religion or who are not practitioners of any religion are sentient beings who are our fields, our objects of compassion. And towards them we practice the conduct of the 6 paramitas. So in brief, what we need to develop is an unbiased, pure perception.
Wesentliche an dem, was für uns dieser Lehrer bedeutet. Und mit Wissen ist es vergangen oder verschwunden. Und diesen Zweifel zu vereinigen, dass man davon nicht behindert ist und zögert, dafür ist dieser Schritt des Wünschens, Bittens, dass sie mit uns bleiben, da.
다 양념이 받아가지고 와서 네 태성군이 뭐 양념되게 매가 이렇게 다 난징이 뭐 와서 늘 창송해 늘 창송 때때 다시 고마워 때는 초소이나 늘서 네 레레레 좀 제발 나 무슨 조바 봐봐디 초가도 돌아다니나 너 참만 거요래 그 쪼람 탐지 그럼 이제 가와서나 진실이 냠도 용거요래 들이지 이나도 봐디 뒤쪽라 참고요 가면 뒤쪽으로 참고 오 근데 밤에 봤지 정지 남다시 정지 잡아 센디 세계들이 정지면 다 랑이 다 돼요 들들이 마다 봐서 수와 여러 잡아 셈 예를 들니 들 시바다 차과 중앙도 막 무슨 팀을 정말 생 초과를 세도 저거 그래 되는 마다 봐지 들 뭐 넘버 다서 되는 정지미 버센트 람지 기와 차야 돼 들들 돈다고 돼 봐게 와서 뒷감이 빼나 딱 호주 게자다 호사게 생기다 몸의 상계섬 들하기 하고는 들이 거기서 넘버면서 와서
So that is the supplicating to not pass into nirvana, which is the antidote to doubt. And then the last one is the antidote to grasping at the virtues accumulated as our own, as mine. And the antidote to that is to dedicate for sentient beings. So these 7 branches are the method to accumulate merit when offering them to the higher beings. For example, making offerings and so on. Actually, all 7 branches are always contained in all the different sadhanas, for example, that we practice. But then also in all your day-to-day activities, wherever you go, actually those 7 branches really follow your mindfulness. When there's mindfulness, then in one moment, those 7 branches are complete. And they're complete within a mind that doesn't grasp. When there is no grasping, then the mind is in a state that is free of a subject-object duality. And that is the pure state of mind, that is naturally pure. And the impure mind is when there is an inner grasping mind that is fixating on an outer object, and then one develops an attachment, a clinging towards this object, and one believes in the inherent existence of this object, and one one assigns various attributes upon this object, and then that then leads to various feelings in the mind, and these feelings then obscure the mind. So that is what we call the impure state of mind. And so when these graspings are purified, when the grasping of a subject-object duality is purified, naturally the mind is in a virtuous state. And that is actually what we call the ultimate dedication. And the ultimate dedication is that when we dedicate those roots of virtue, actually the virtues that we are giving away and the sentient beings who are the recipients of them, and ourselves who are making this dedication, the three, are actually naturally pure. They don't exist separately. So when you understand that, then this dedication is referred to as the ultimate dedication that does not conceptualize the three spheres.
들으시고 오만하다 주바 팔신 쪽송 다 팔신 쪽시 바탑제게 배차 통고 요 방법 요 팔신이나 사지마다 바로도 신송 상마 계제 버려 바로도 신들이 요 말이지 이나지 민도지 이제 바트서 줘봐도 다 거기 이목도 이보 차대요래 제외도 호르 사와 메데나 군지로 지금 저 가득 기왕 편에 고바 띵 먹고지 참마 기왕 저서 고바는 로마 탐나 차그래지 가득 기왕 편에 고바 기왕 가는 데는 기왕 접속나 이 고바는 마소는 그래 로마 탐나 그래지 그래 고바도 고바는 와 데리 너한테 다다 동물까지 다 주도 고바는 로 타만 로 듣고 요 배는 냠이 제고 냠이 제고 고가 배바들 고바메야지 그 고가면 코로 사와 탐제들이 디바트도 조바티는 봐 줄터봐 대기 제고 요리 강의지는 신이다 사바체미 바데 요잖아 라비들이 그럼 탐제들이 기회를 두고 요리 대신하더니 다 강의지는 사바체미 때문에 다 기와서 좀 나한테 제가 강의지는 빼는 지마야나 다 다다니 팀이 봐 레가시 거를 레가리지 강의 신 토바니 사바체미 파마마지와 직장면에서 랑그 능을 레가가 루기 지마이스 레가야 보시는 스템 야 다 강의 체를 제시 공만 줘봐 레라라서 봐 도비는 줘봐 야, 근데 리가데 요즘에 봐도 정주 야, 당 테마세 지방은 파로 송동 고세 삼시 지방에서 그 강리지라. 단 로나도 가라서나 배열 파티 고세 지방이 상으로 되는 신라메가 차고 요래. Jibbar Mang person, Churto, Pena, the Etaventary, Jimba, Churcham, Zopasan, Ramji, the Changwati, Hakogorate, the two some Batsemi over it. Zopasan, Jimba, Churcham Zoba, Jibba didn't Tatamu, Lekaji, Lugjibarva, Lugjiman Lekati, and Kotor Kesang Yorva, but Zotan and Lekati, and Kotor Kesang, so Lachati Tom. Kosote leoder kesang de jimbanan ro de timati par ro song tang ko te jimba de ka selli mo jibare selli mo jibana tan ro song de tang ko te sena yo la pen ko no te kong lao de te ta ma go no sa te sena o ta mera mera pa so de sa jimba yi ko do pe ko yo sam sana sama jimba jon ro yo re te nga ke te ro sa te nga ka la yo re Jimba Chum Zuba, yeah, Chum de Jacabo Chum Rixer Juba, Rang Chum Rixer Juba, some years. Chum Rixer Juba, songs in Rangin, you got to pay the Chum days, or Zubat in a Rangan Nang in a slow in a cannon at the Comatroa, Controte, Sanford Temple, Tanton, Control Bangora, Zuba, Jibba Chum Zuba, some Sunday.
And then towards sentient beings, these offerings become the practice of the 6 paramitas. So this term paramita, it means perfection actually. And so you can look at different commentaries and books to learn more about that. But so actually, even though it is called perfection, it is not perfected actually until one attains enlightenment. It is just not given that name, the perfection of generosity, ethical discipline, and patience, for example, because they are an antidote to the 6 afflictive emotions. So regarding engaging in samsaric activities and practicing the perfections, actually, there's this one quote by the omniscient Longchen Rabcham, and he said that if wherever you go, virtue increases. So if you practice virtue wherever you are, then there is no need for you to rely on a monastery or like a hermitage, an isolated place. So what that means here, no need to go to a monastery or a hermitage. It means that normally we think that that is equivalent with we have no opportunity to practice. Actually, when you practice virtue in any circumstance, then that wherever you are becomes this hermitage. Wherever you are, there's an opportunity to practice. So when you, for example, go to work, then you can perfectly practice the paramitas of generosity, ethical discipline, and patience. So that's very important to really make everything you do the practice of the 6 paramitas. So it all arises from immeasurable love. If you have that, then whatever you do naturally is virtuous. And if you lack that, then even if on the outer level you practice virtue, it's not really virtuous. For example, let's take the example of generosity. Now we work day and night very hard. And when you go to work, for example, you can think that, first of all, I love everyone I encounter there. Everyone has been my parent. And then I will do the best job I can. That's my generosity. I'm offering my physical service. Because offering my physical service is actually also to the advantage of the company, for example. And I want to benefit them. So you're practicing generosity. Then also you follow all the rules and all the laws, and that's ethical discipline. Then you do not get angry when things get difficult, but you practice patience, for example, with your colleagues and friends and so on. Then with diligence, you are without deception. You do your job honestly and use continuously. And so in general, actually, all the things that we have to spend money on anyways can become a practice of generosity. for example, things we have to do anyways is we have to eat food, for example, or buy things. Whatever you have to pay for, whatever you have to give away anyways, you can think that I'm offering this. This is my generosity. And in that way, you're letting go of it without any greed or stinginess. And as a result of that, you will receive the virtue, the fruition of having practiced generosity in the future. So actually, there are things that we have to give away up anyway. And often when we buy something, for example, we always try to get the best deal possible and try to buy the cheapest thing possible. So we feel very stingy about even the slightest money that we have to pay extra. So all of these things that we have to do anyways, we can always make these acts become generosity by thinking that this is all beneficial, it will help someone, and this is my practice of generosity. And so in this way, you're actually naturally practicing the paramitas. So you're practicing generosity, you're practicing ethical discipline by following all the rules and laws, and you are being patient on the inner and outer level in your family and outside. You're not getting angry. And in fact, that's also one of our root Bodhisattva vows, to abandon anger or resentment towards other sentient beings. And so in essence,
시랍 요는 쫀르미는 그냥 제서고 말이에요. 돌아도 요래. 그래서 취직이 저 가리 제려 제가 가리 덕터로 때라 내려고 왕는 마서와 쫀르 김바 저천 조바 쫀르 something 사바체비바 대 양당양도 제네 대바리는 양 이소 요거래 요 뭐제래 가리 가리 something 사바 시합 대는 대 탐지 탐지 탐하는 진심은 사만냐고 그 시합도 진실이 야야로 그 대바 영화에 받쳐고 요래 누모 요 다서 사자집에 따와지 대면은 다 사마상을 루메메 반응이 저거 그 시합 제리제로 시합은 어디들이 나기님이 하고 요래 바로도 스마트 딱딱 참이 요래 돈을 땅 거기들이 대서 미소잖아 내가 레레레 그리고 좀 람상스는 생내요 그래 대답을 파르드스 바토 파르드스 바상이 받으러 가지 다시 뭐 이제 받쳐서 받아 다시 조금 뭐라고 돼 참고를 참을 기회를 줘도 그래 그리고 다냐까 벌써 남반마다 보고 되는 오마호들이 돼 봐지 되게 거래 진짜 잘해 그리지 아직 기타 탐제들이 다기 니우나 상황지에서 기사들은 뭐 다기 멜로디 검잡이 저래 오마호들이 돼 봐지
So basically, within this mind of immeasurable love, these paramitas are naturally complete, and so then we have the paramita of meditative absorption or concentration, and that is especially now as Vajrayana practitioners to see all men and women, male and female in this world as Dakas and Dakinis, and the entire world as the boundless palace. All beings possess Buddha nature, and they are only obscured by momentary, temporary stains. So basically, meditation here is to never separate from a pure perception. And then there is diligence, the paramita of diligence, and that is whatever you do, you should do it without laziness and with complete honesty. That is diligence, and that's really important in whatever you do. If you're not diligent, then you will also not have any mindfulness. And if you have no mindfulness, then you will not do well in any area of your life. So actually, now what's more important? Is it wisdom or is it diligence? Actually, diligence is more important, because even if you have wisdom, but if you are some intelligence, if you have no diligence, then this intelligence is of not much use. So whatever you do, whether it's Dharma practice or a worldly activity, do it completely, fully, without laziness and with diligence. So now regarding the paramita of meditation, it really actually is to sustain immeasurable love. And that is to keep it in mind continuously. Because the moment you do not have it in mind, the afflictive emotions will again arise, and you will quickly grow tired of practice and so on. And then there is the paramita of wisdom, and that is when you lack that, when you lack mindful awareness, all the other paramitas really decline. So wisdom is based on a state of non-distraction. And when awareness increases, we finally realize the view of Mahamudra, which is just like going into a temple and turning on the light and seeing everything. So the essence of wisdom is to realize the non-duality of self and other. So this is how we can perfectly practice the 6 paramitas. So for example, if you really have that view, then you are able to switch between activity and meditation very quickly. So you can do all your activities, everything that needs to be done, and then in the next moment of rest, instantly, you can place your mind into a state of meditation and abide there calmly, instantly. Actually, now again, perfection of all of that is only something that we accomplish when we attain enlightenment. But the essence is explained in terms of the paramitas of generosity, patience, ethical discipline, and so on. And when we practice them, then whatever we do naturally becomes virtuous. So what you should do is in the evening, before you go to sleep, practice the dedication that is free from the 3 spheres, the Om Mahong Vajra recitation. That is sufficient. So for as long as there is a dualistic perception of self and other, you dedicate for the sake of sentient beings. And when there is no more dualistic perception of self and other, then you can just meditate and practice the Om Mahong Vajra recitation.
49. Tamba je tu rambo je cawa tang je par je paradya lama tamba nam tang ye dam je la co co je na yo be san je dang san jo Pahawo dang kam ho nam jir ma dang kan de so tham je da lang gong so so da dang kon de tham je de sum de sa ba dang ye ben ge ve za wan de je den je chup je khor ve je ye tang Deva nyen tu dang rang san je je sar mem paraman jirwar da dang da ja tham je la dang war je bedra ne bar je ben ga ya bharad je be je de dang de je jeng hor je zo je be ha nam ga da nyam be sem je tham je de wa dang de dong he dan ra nyur de la na me ba yang da bar zo be ja Rinpoche Dombar Jurje Dai Jage Gewe Tsawa Jachim Bondin Tala Denne Lenga Yisum Ji Sim Ji Tham Ji La Dombar Jurje Dhage Jula Nyamong Bande Jashi Dang Temong Ajar Chado Kesam Menjong Wara Jurje Dhapa Danyim Banhi Badang Krut Chindi Samba Geje Samyam Menjong Chöd Jamba Dan Hinje Sanjo Je Sem Jin Da Ge Juli Yung Sun Zembe Nge Jin Yen Ham Ka Dan Yamba Yin De Jiren Chen De Nye La Sa Ja Chen Bon Chok Ngud Haren Da Nam Jeve Tu Je Chen Na Yang Ne Ju Je Dong Har Men Jong War Jure Je Xing Yen Den Je War Ma Jure Je Da Wa Long Baran Je War Ma Jure Je Tu Ma Yen Baran Je War Ma Jure Je Che Wa La Nga Wa Dan Je Zhuo Wa Dan Je Sem Nye Shen De Zar Wa Dan Je Qi Nye Shen De Dang Ba Dan Je Qian Ka Dang Baran Dor Je Qu Sa Jia Jian Bon Chok Ng Zheng Te Ba Ren Da Dang Khun De Tham Jien Jien De Sam De Sang Ban Tang Yen Ben Ge We Za Wan Di Da Dang Sem Jien Tham Jien Yer De Lan Na Men Ba Yang Da Ba Ran Zong Be Sang Ren Bo Jian Thong Ba Ren Jien English and Deutsch. Lots of but yeah,
On page
English is
52.
English 52. English, yeah, German is 50.
Page 52.
Yeah, no.
Auf Deutsch auf Seite 50. Ausgezeichnet.
Glorious, holy, venerable, precious, kind, root and lineage Dhammas, divine assembly of Vedams and assemblies of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Viras and Yoginis and Dakinis dwelling in the 10 directions. Please hear my prayer. May all the virtues collected in the 3 times by myself and all in samsara and nirvana and the innate good of virtue not result in the 8 worldly concerns, the 4 causes of samsara, or ripen as the state of a Shravaka or Pratyeka Buddha. May all mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me and mine, obstructors for harm, Maras who mislead, and the hordes of demons experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly attain unsurpassed, completely perfected, precious Buddhahood. By the power of this vast fruit of virtue, may I benefit all beings through my body, speech, and mind. May the afflictions of desire, hatred, ignorance, arrogance, and jealousy not arise in my mind. May concern about fame, reputation, wealth, and honor in this life not arise for even a moment. May my mind stream be moistened by loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta, and through that may I become a spiritual master with good qualities equal to the infinity of space. May I gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. At the time of death, may the suffering of severing the life channel not arise. May I not die with negative thoughts. May I not die confused by wrong belief. May I not experience an untimely death. May I die joyfully and happily in the great luminosity of mind as such and the pervading clarity of Dharma too. May I, in any case, gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra at the time of death or in the bardo, by the virtues collected in the three times by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue. May I and all sentient beings quickly attain unsurpassed, completely perfected, precious enlightenment.
Red book, page number 18, side 18. Extra puppy, Rinpoche long life from Dalai Lama. This inside, yeah? One more, please. One more. Deutsch und Englisch. Andere Seite. Ja? Das selber, da hat die Jablo dann da. Da hat der Rang Jablo. Da hat der Rang Jablo dann. Jab, behend. Ja, Langlebensgebiet für, okay.
So this hymn in English, the long life prayer for His Eminence Garchen Rinpoche, composed by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, crown of the Shakyas, kind unknown friend to all beings, 17 great bandits, Tilopa and Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Gambopa, Chigden Sungan, and their lineage heirs, please bestow good fortune and auspiciousness. Transcendent Lord, Protector Amitayos, who grants supreme life, everlasting, stable and unchanging, and who diverts from untimely death, one who merely hears your name or thinks of you, please bestow good fortune and auspiciousness. With discipline, living in the higher training of morality, with great compassion that appears as the glory of those to be tamed, and without ever parting, devoid of all grasping from Mahamudra's natural state, Ngeden Tempe Nima, son of the teachings, may your life remain firm.
Wir verabschieden jetzt Rinpoche und machen gleich nach der kurzen Pause wieder eine Chöd-Praxis. So we say goodbye for today to Rinpoche, and after the short break we practice Chöd. Von der Plastikkiste für die Fragen haben wir schon gesagt vor der Pause, also es steht auf dem Tresen, ihr könnt ja Fragen aufschreiben und dort ablegen und die werden beantwortet. So the question, there is a plastic box on the bar. You can put your question and then they will be answered. And the answer time is tomorrow, 2 till 2:30 p.m. So die Antworten werden morgen zwischen 14 und 14:30 Uhr gegeben. Wenn ihr später gekommen seid oder vergessen habt, ein Ticket zu erwerben, so bitte macht das jetzt nach dieser Session. So when you came a little bit later or forgot about the ticket, so please make it now. And wir haben immer noch die Mahamudra-Texte. Ihr könnt die erwerben, wenn ihr die noch haben möchtet und noch nicht haben. Ja, erwerben. So, die Mahamudra-Texte, die können wir nicht ausleihen. So bitte, wenn ihr die haben wollt, dann sind sie an der Kasse zu haben. So the Mahamudra text, please, when you borrow, then give them back, or you can buy them on the cashier desk. And in the shop we have also wonderful Vajras und Glocken, wunderbare, sehr gute Qualität, neunspeichige Vajras und Glocken. So they are also in the shop available. So ich glaube, jetzt habe ich in 2 Sprachen so durchgehend gesprochen. Ich hoffe, es ist alles verstanden. Dankeschön, bis gleich. Hallo? Noch was Wichtiges, die Karma-Yoga-Liste, die hat, glaube ich, in den letzten Tagen gelitten. Also, the Karma-Yoga-List, please look on it, and then perhaps you have time in the break and could help for cleaning. Thank you.
됐어. Disal. Mazi Garchen. Bodhisattva. Come in here. Yeah. Chöd. Christine, hier komme, hier. Trace here. And so here. Trace here. Trace.
Rouge spielen könnt und Glocke, so bitte kommt hier zu uns auf die Bühne.
Dharma zam je pe zhen zhen za wa dan je bar je ma dan ba nan je shar de om a hon pe ye dan je de ye dan je ve chung gur ram jan je nat nan je shar de om a hon pe ran je ye ne yo be ba wo dan kan ro gon cho ram ba je nam ba san tan tan ba ye ye che jo we so ma ye ye jan chen dan den shi dan de je va so na nga ne ba nan je shar de om a hon pe che rang kor vai tho ma me ba ne tan ma da yin je dong kan sa ru ru dong kor be che na san je so ge ren cha de do na zhe ren cha gun ro se ner ja ren ja na so de re ro da ban tu je ren je so je shar om a hon pe ye yang se dang en je ben de be do no se no ren je so dan je om a hon pe de je na ma jo se ne ba na de je tho gan ne hu zhe je pu ma ta de fe je ne sha ya re fu tra ge jam zo je pe trung to to sa ran jan je de je kang gang wan de na se je nan je ka ya na se de je ka bo na ya de zo na bo de je de zo ma po chen je de zo cha wo sa ya de zo mo bo ne ye de zo ser bo ne je de zo mo po me ye de zo chang ge sa da ge de zo be de zo la sa na zhen be ti no sa na zhen be de zhong sa na zhen be de mo za dan be de gar de le tem per gar per na la su ba do ba je nam ta ya te do sa zhang so ho do le sa da se ma na so dan che pa san zhe xie xie dan che pa tam che ge je ra wa me ban de go je hong hong de xiong de de qian so zhan tong xia na ga me xia so zha na ga me zhan tong ri pa na ga me ri pa me na ga me pa ba Bye. Bana Nam Dharma. 120. One. Na Dankeschön. Thank you.
So, vielen herzlichen Dank. Wir sammeln wie immer die Texte zurück. Thank you very much. We collect the texts. Have a wonderful evening. See you tomorrow, 10 o'clock. So, habt ihr alle wunderbaren Abend und bis morgen um 10 Uhr.